welcome back to the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast. On today's episode, I have a very interesting episode for you, in fact. A special guest, Josh Jowers, Director of Operations for Float District and owner of Intuitive Massage and Natural Nutrition. Josh, how are we doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for making some time out of your busy schedule to come on in, have a minute on the air with us, and kind of just go through this new amazing thing that's out in La Vista that I'd love to talk about more and love for people to learn more about. So first off, I'd love to know a little bit more about how Float District kind of came to be. And then, for the listeners at home that aren't in the Omaha area, what is Float District?
Yeah, absolutely. So the founders of Float District, they have been in the wellness industry for, I think, like 25 years.
Wow.
So they own Massage MBs. So it was just a natural, turn into this. They found float therapy and they tried it out. They traveled the country and fell in love with it.
I love that. And we're going to get into kind of the nitty gritty of, how that helps more people and how that's going to impact people when they do come and visit and how often they maybe should.
Yeah.
I am curious, how did you get involved with Float District?
Yeah. So I have been a massage therapist for almost 19 years and I worked on and off for a decade with the founders.
Right on. Yeah.
And I was actually going to open my own float spa in Colorado. That didn't work out. It's a big leap. And so it happened and I actually didn't even know he was doing it. And then we just started talking and he's like, well, let's just collaborate. And I paused my massage for a while and went into this.
I love that. And what a stars align moment.
Right. It just fell in my lap.
That is super cool that it all just kind of, hey, you know what, had the opportunity and Colorado, not going to do it. And then all of a sudden, hey, it worked.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked the way it did.
Yeah, for sure. And so for the listeners, float therapy is kind of its unique own little thing right now. And it's kind of gained a lot of traction, especially with sports celebrities, we'll call them that. Because when you start talking NBA, I'm like, they're very much athletes, but they're very much celebrities there as well. Yes. But it's been gaining a lot of popularity. Can you kind of break down maybe what that is for those listeners? Is it I just get in a pool of water?
Yeah. So float therapy has been around since the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, it was a great stretch for a while. And then I think it kind of went dead for a while in the 80s and stuff and then revamped in the 90s. East Coast, West Coast, and then, Midwest is always the last to get all the good stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're the good old echo chamber in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's called sensory deprivation, float therapy. Either way, it's the same thing. So
perfect.
It's, in our tanks, it's 300 gallons of water, about 10 inches, and 1,200 pounds of Epsom salt.
That is so, for me, I'm bad with math. We all know this. But to quantify that and kind of put it into perspective for somebody like, let's say your average home bathtub.
Yes.
About how much salt is going up into that thing?
It would overflow.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So these are really, really heavy Epsom salt filled water to where I'm guessing there's a reason behind that.
Yeah, so the Epsom salt makes you buoyant. So that's what pushes you. So kind of think of the Dead Sea.
Right.
It's so concentrated. Yep. It's more concentrated than even the ocean. Mm-hmm. So it's actually more salt than it is water, of course. It's more, we call it a solution. So,
interesting. Yeah. Okay, so then it keeps you up to the surface.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, since we already kind of are on the float topic, we'll kind of go into it here. So as somebody who falls asleep kind of easily in certain situations, is that a problem if I'm in a float tank and all of a sudden I maybe just catch a couple Z's?
Absolutely not. We have most of our clients fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so no real risk or anything with that.
Nope.
It's perfectly fine.
Yep. There has not been any in the world that we know of had any problems.
Well, I feel like you'd have to have a purposeful intention to roll over in the water.
And if you did, you will wake up. I mean, the salt water in your eyes and mouth is, not a good thing.
Never a good thing there. Now, I do know that sometimes those sensory deprivation chambers can feel a little claustrophobic to some. What's some advice for maybe somebody that's wanting to try this out, but they're not sure if they can handle that?
Yeah, easy. Well, first of all, at our facility, we have float cabins. We don't do the pods.
Love that.
They're larger. You can stand in it. So, and then we also have glass doors. So that kind of helps that, that feel of,
A little more openness.
Yeah,
a little more...
or you can open the door. You can keep the light on, because full sensory deprivation is no sound, no light.
Right.
It is pitch black. And that's what sometimes gets people, even the claustrophobic, because your eyes can be open and it feels like they're closed.
Right.
So there's options.
Interesting. And that's good to know for the listeners at home as well, maybe trying to look into some alternative options for some, just some benefits for their body. And I do love, and this is probably your number one most asked question, but what do I need to prepare for the float tank or for the float room in this instance?
The only thing we ask is I wouldn't shave before.
Interesting.
Because you're going in the salt, that day.
Right.
Any recent tattoos? You gotta wait a little bit, right?
Seems like you shouldn't have to say that.
Yeah,
but just thinking out loud, you probably should.
A big one is hair dye.
Oh, yeah. No,
because we use hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
In our tanks, and that will strip your color.
Yeah.
And then also it can ruin our tanks.
Yes, also that too.
You have to wait a couple weeks after that. I mean, it doesn't hinder completely, but
perfect. That was my follow up to that. Is if somebody does do their hair on a routine basis,
7 to 10 days is usually best.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah. Now, of course, we've talked all about float kind of room thus far. I am kind of curious about the other services you guys offer for the clients. I'll let you kind of go into what some of those are, and then we'll kind of dive into some.
Yeah. So we have cold plunge. We have massage therapy.
Of course.
Vibroacoustic therapy. We have 2 infrared saunas. One is a salt infrared sauna and one is a full spectrum infrared sauna.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be asking about those, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah, those are great. And that's it.
That is okay, perfect. And I was super curious about that on your website, because obviously I tried to do a little homework before I'm talking to you guys, and I did notice both of the different infrared rooms. I'm curious, what's the difference between them and what are they primarily used for, really?
Yeah, so we'll start with the salt infrared sauna. Yeah. If anybody hasn't used infrared before, one, you get to control your own heat. So it's not like a steam sauna where it's just 200 degrees or more and you just have to sit in there. These saunas are made where you can sit in it for 45 minutes. So you can adjust any temperature you want, because it's wavelengths, so it warms you from your core out.
Interesting.
But then the salt one also puts out pharmaceutical grade salt into the air, like micro dust.
Okay.
And then so that's good for respiratory, sinuses, allergies, skin inflammation, things like that.
Okay, and I love it. And I did prepare a question about the salt sauna, because I'm just curious, is there any downside to that, or is it pretty much just all benefit for people?
It's all benefit.
Okay, just making sure, doing my due diligence out here. But...
you have some limitations on some things, and pregnancy, things like that.
Of course.
Really, it's not much.
No, for such a low risk on it, and some great health benefits to boot off of it. Can you go into some of those benefits that listeners might experience when partaking in that, and how often should somebody come to get that session, so to speak, per week?
Absolutely, and then the other full spectrum, because they have a lot of the same benefits, but they also have different ones. So the salt one is far infrared only, meaning it's the deepest infrared that it produces, and so it's a deeper detox.
Gotcha.
So you're helping with deep detox and skin and respiratory.
Okay.
The full spectrum is all 3 wavelengths, so meaning it does your entire body. So it's anti-aging, weight loss, cardiovascular, pain relief, detox.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm going to look awesome after I come here. At least that's the idea, to help your body get back to a good state.
And, 1 to 2 times a week is great.
Perfect.
Or even more, but...
Yeah, so a minimum, 1-2 times a week to kind of get a feel for it. And if you really are seeing those signs, I can just pick up the pace as I kind of see fit.
Absolutely.
I love that. Now, you have something that you've already mentioned. It's called I'm going to butcher this. Vibroacoustic therapy.
You got it.
Got it? Oh, yes. All right. That broadcast degree finally paid off. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm very intrigued by this, because obviously coming from a little bit of an audio background myself, I understand that audio and wavelengths are used in a lot of things that we don't really think about. I'm so curious how it's applied in therapy. Yeah.
So vibroacoustic it uses like low vibration, like hertz, between like 30 hertz and 120. So it gets into your cells because our cells are made, 60, 70% of water.
And so everything vibrates on a frequency.
Exactly. So it's like having a massage inside your body for your cells and your organs and tissue and things like that.
I have to go try this just so I can say I had a massage for my blood cells.
And we incorporate it also with float therapy.
Oh, cool.
So we call them pre-floats. So a lot of our members, which I'll get into, they get that for one of those for free prior to their float, because it kind of gets you into a theta zone.
Okay.
Because that's what float therapy does, into those brainwaves where you're almost asleep but not asleep, right?
You're kind of in that like lucid state.
Yeah. We also use it for people that do not like water.
Fair.
So it's kind of like a dry float. We sell it as, in a sense, because it does a lot of the same things.
That is super cool. And I was kind of reading, it's on like a water bed. That's kind of how
ours is on a water bed. Okay. And they come in different forms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do water bed, pads, all kinds of different things. So.
That's super cool. And I love that. What does it do for the body? I mean, you obviously brought up that it brings you into that kind of that lucid state that kind of brings you back down. And especially before the float, it's really beneficial. But what other impacts does it have to the body?
Yeah, so it's good for PTSD.
Oh.
Deep relaxation, lowers blood pressure. It's good for pain.
Love that.
And we also get a lot of people that come in and use it for their neuropathy.
Oh,
it actually helps their numbness and things like that. It helps a lot of people come in with Lyme disease that have like nerve damage, things like that.
Right.
And it helps that
subside.
Cool. So
yeah, that is so cool. And
it's just like an overall, like it's a mind reset. There's sometimes, if you're having a crazy day or you're like, I just need to reset. And that helps do that.
No, that's awesome. And I love that there's so many applications for it. And there's so many benefits for people and listeners that can really capitalize on this. Now, before we go into this further and kind of dive into some more questions here, for the listeners at home, where can we find you? First off, obviously social medias and all that good fun stuff. But where are you guys located?
We are located in La Vista, right behind Cabela's and Costco off Interstate I-80 in the Southport West Shopping Center.
Perfect. And what's the best way to reach out to you guys if people are looking to book today?
Email, website, so we can go, flowdistrict.com is usually the best.
Perfect.
We can call, walk in.
Walk in is always encouraged.
We get a lot of that. People are like, can we walk in? Absolutely.
Absolutely, of course. But no, I wanted to get that out there so if people online are listening right now, they can make a new tab and go, I'm going to look into this place.
Yes.
And, maybe book themselves a new appointment today. Now, when I come to float therapy and I'm going to get into the tank or the cabin, and we're going to experience this for the first time, what do you tell me to avoid doing? Because obviously there's a lot of like, oh yeah, you get yourself ready, but there's maybe sometimes a shorter list that needs to be mentioned.
Yeah, so mentioned earlier the no shaving, things like that. And then we'll go over a room introduction with you and explain, it's the little things.
Sure,
little details is, once your hands are wet, don't touch your face. We supply a dry towel, bottle of water in there if you need, because, if you touch your face, it's salty, right?
Right.
But really, it's just you shower before, you shower after, you get in, and you just relax and breathe and try to focus on. There's not much not to do. I mean, just, No,
I love that. And I only bring that up because sometimes you do run into those of like, you can't touch certain things, or hey, don't do certain things when you're in the facility.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I bring that up and do the due diligence there for the listeners as well. Now, obviously, today's world is completely on its head. I still think that things are 15 years ago and still price things off of that. I'm like, I need to catch up on times. But I am curious from your perspective, what seems to be that most kind of the toughest thing in your market right now, and how are you overcoming that for your clients?
Yeah, the toughest thing for us is our wonderful Midwest neighbors are always harder to get into the building when it comes to new age services.
Yeah, fair.
That is probably the hardest thing that has always been. Because they're just like, wait, what is this?
It's new.
No, this is new.
It's new.
No offense to anybody. We're all like that here. It's like, wait a minute. I don't know.
We're all creatures of habit, and I totally get that.
So we just got to get them in. And once we get them in and educate them, like we are today even, then they're sold.
Well, I hope this can be a helping tool with that, because I know that there's always apprehension when it comes to new this or new that. But this is not something that's new. Like you had mentioned in the very beginning of the show, this has been around since the 50s.
Correct.
So this is not quote unquote new. This is actually, in fact, should be right up their alley. Right. So good old farmers and ranchers out there, if you're in some pain and you need some good relief,
absolutely,
give it a shot. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Please.
I know I'm going to be on the list here pretty soon I just got to check out the Vibro there. It's on my brain now. Now, you, like I mentioned earlier, are owner of Intuitive Massage and Natural Nutrition. So I am curious, kind of the same realm of thought here about challenges in the industry. What's the hardest parts about owning a business, and what are the best parts about owning it?
The hardest part? Getting people in.
Fair.
Fair. It's really that, really. The best part of it, I mean, at Flow District and Intuitive Massage is seeing your clients afterwards. And if we can, I would say if I can make you feel better, even if it's just for that service, and you come out and they look 10 pounds lighter of stress, right? And that's the goal. We want people to be healthier.
I love it.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think today's world we have a better understanding of it, but I don't know if a lot of people still understand that when you are mentally to your limit and you are stressed to the max, it physically will impact you.
Absolutely.
And so a good reset is with Flow District. It sounds like that is just a really good overall reset, both physically, mentally. It just sounds like the place to be for sure. Now, any advice you'd give to somebody who's up and coming, maybe starting their own business, maybe just some, hey, I had a growing pain here, avoid doing this, or anything like that?
Make sure you do all your research and really, really know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Which that I did learn as my mentor with the founders of Float District. You know, they taught me a lot about running a business, and I'm glad we did it together because we didn't know everything, and it was a challenge, but we got through it. And then also to have a great support system. Yeah. And really look out for your customers.
Yeah, I think that one kind of goes it's the unsung hero, really. It never gets mentioned too often, but having a solid support staff around you, whether that's people closest to you, whether that's employees that you work with and trust on a daily basis, that all goes super, super far in a business.
And really believing in what you're doing.
That too.
That's a huge thing. I see a lot of business owners, they're just doing it to do it. And it doesn't always work out like that. You have to be really passionate about it.
I'm a firm believer if you half-heart something, you're going to get the result of that right back to you. And so that's why I do love these conversations. I get the chance to sit down with unique businesses like this one and yourself and kind of learn more behind the curtains about them. Plus, I get to hear where the passion comes from. Yeah. And I hope that that's translated to the listeners at home as well.
Me too.
Now, I hope it is too, now, most rewarding aspect, you had already kind of mentioned it for Float District. When those clients come out and they look like they're 10 pounds lighter of stress and they can float on the air that they're walking on. Now, what is the biggest pride point that you take with Float District?
With that said, absolutely. The customers, but our pride, our exceptional customer service, 5-star service that we've had for 5 years straight.
Love that.
Yeah, and the stress relief we give customers and a getaway from the world. That's and cleanliness. We are really actually big on that. You have to be in that kind of industry, and you don't always see that. But most of all, customer service. We love our customers, and they love us back. I mean, they give us gifts, and they just get really personal with it. That's really great. So
I love that, and again, I think that speaks testaments to how it's run, the people that are there, the passion behind it. Because obviously, for the forefront, it's putting the person in front of you and saying, "Hey, we're going to get you feeling better."
Yeah, and that's how I do my hiring. If you don't have any passion in this, this is not the job for you.
Yeah, well, hey, at least you're upfront about that. It's
absolutely.
Like, hey, you got to weed them out early. Let's go. No, I love that. Now, Float District has a plethora of services and opportunities to go capitalize on. I definitely encourage anybody listening to reach out, stop on by, say hey to the friendly crew that's out there.
Absolutely.
Now, membership-wise, though, there are membership opportunities when it comes to Float District. I'd love for you to break down the different levels there are and what you get out of those.
Sure. So our memberships range from $20 a month to $150 a month.
Okay.
So, the $20 a month, it's a real it's called a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because it gets you in the door if you want to try things out and see what you like and what you don't like. And that gives you 50% off unlimited services every time you come in that door.
I think that's a steal in its own right.
Right there. And then we go into credit services, where you can gain credits and you can keep this, and they roll over. We have float memberships, we have sauna memberships, we have cold plunge memberships, and then we have an all membership.
Okay.
We can do everything.
Gotcha. And so a lot of the memberships, it's discounting typical services that might be offered. You mentioned that like the top tier membership, that $150 a month membership. What's really included with that?
So you get
services.
Every service. You get 1 service credit of everything we offer.
Oh,
per
wow.
month.
Yeah.
And then, and all of the memberships include 1 free vibroacoustic 15 minutes or 1 15-minute room time for cold plunge per month.
Okay.
Get that, and then 50% off anything additional that you want to do if you run out of your credits or.
Sure. No, I love that. That's a great incentivized program that you guys have going there as well for your members.
And shareable. Some of them are shareable. Yep.
That's fantastic. A lot of places will red tape you to death on those.
No, we love it. People enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you've mentioned it a couple times, and I feel like we accidentally glossed by it. Cold plunge.
Yes.
Is this like the polar plunge thing that I saw like 6-7 years ago when I was on the air?
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
So we actually, bought a cold plunge from the Plunge Company.
Very cool.
So we have the big XL, industrial one. But yeah, we keep our, it goes from 39 degrees and up, but we keep ours between 42 to 45. We've tried the 39, the 50, and that's a happy medium for people.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so the cold plunge is great for, of course, inflammation.
Sure.
And endorphins boost, energy boost. It's like having a pot of coffee after.
Really?
Yes, it's invigorating.
I remember the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
That was like one of the last fads that I was involved with.
Okay.
I remember running and not happy when that happened, but I could never quite get roped into the polar plunge.
Yeah.
I'm from Nebraska. I'm born and mostly raised here.
Right.
And I still hate the winter.
Yeah, I mean, we get that a lot. It's like, we do tours and so, I don't like the cold, but
it's not quite like that, right?
The benefits outweigh the cold, the intenseness.
Which is fair.
So it's 50% mental.
That is also
It
true.
really is.
That is very true.
The biggest hurdle, I think, is the first minute, and remember to breathe.
I think that's a big one.
It does take your breath away, but the benefits, are endless. It helps burn brown fat. It lowers your blood pressure.
Which is also great.
Yes, and endorphins boost. It's like a euphoria high after. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So, in your professional advice here, is it best to just jump straight into it kind of thing, or is it best to ease in?
No, just do it.
Okay,
just get in there.
Band-Aid.
I have a lot of customers that have come in and tried, and they keep like inching there as like you're torturing yourself.
Right. I was gonna say, there's just nothing worse than a cold pool to me on a cold day.
You just get in and you do it. That first minute, and it's 2 to 10 minute increments. About 11 to 15 minutes a week is great. Is what's recommended.
Perfect.
It is busy.
Is it? Is it really?
Yes. Even when we have negative 20 degrees, people come in there and do it. Yeah.
Well, I figured, especially with our Omaha area sports gaining some traction, our local athletics programs coming in, I figured, you guys might start being a hot hub here real fast.
Yes, absolutely.
So
we even talked to, I think, the new volleyball. So,
well, fingers crossed. Hopefully that works well. I'm actually reaching out to them to try to get on the show.
Very cool.
Fingers crossed for both of us on this one. Now, Josh, before we move on to what I call the personal side of the show and wrap up the business side with a nice little bow, is there anything else that we missed or you want to bring up for listeners at home?
So the new owner that took over in April, he is a vet, and we've always done vet deals no matter what, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Absolutely.
We're vet owned now, and we do Vet Fridays. A vet or active military, anything like that. It's $25 Fridays.
Wow.
You come in and you can do anything you want for up to an hour float for $25.
That's awesome.
Every Friday.
That is so cool.
And we do
I
have
love that
a lot of vets and military coming in. So you vets also get 25% off massage all the time. So
I love that. That is such a cool way to give back to people that definitely deserve it.
Yeah, we don't want to just do it, once a year or so. And then on Vets Day, it's free.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
all day long.
Cool. That is super, super cool. I love that about you guys. Now, Josh, it is time for the burning questions.
Sure.
Not that burning. They're not that scary. I always do that just to see the look on people. I've had some interesting looks get shot my way.
I'm sure.
But now that it's here, it's fall season. I always joke that I'm a summer child at heart. So the summer's always my favorite time of the year. I look forward to fall for the football, of course.
Yes.
But I'm curious about fall for you. Is there anything you look forward to? Any big plans that you try to do in the fall?
I love fall in general. Like, I love the temperatures.
Fair.
I love the Omaha traditions and things like that, right? And then for the business side, this is our busy season from now till May.
Is it? I was actually going to kind of slightly try to mention in there, when is the busy season, so to speak. But fall's the busy season, which makes sense. Sports are picking back up. All these athletic programs are picking back up.
Everybody's home. They're not traveling anymore, things like that.
People are starting to do things before it gets too cold, and they might need some relief after they're maybe straining a little too hard on things. So I do love that now. Football fan?
Yeah.
Husker fan?
Of course,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. How do you think we're going to do this year? Obviously, first game in the books looked all right.
Pretty good. I think we'll do much better than we have.
Bowl game? I see a smile on my side. That's okay. It's okay to be realistic.
Yeah, right.
But no, I've been on the cusp of, I think we're going to be right on the bowl game or we're right out of it. I think we're just right there this year, unless, I get proven otherwise. I'll happily eat my words. But any pro teams or anything like that you like to follow?
Denver or Kansas City.
I'm a Broncos man myself. So hopefully we got a good year in front of us as well.
Absolutely.
And I hate to mention it, but I hope Kansas City doesn't. Can't help myself.
I mean, here you're either Kansas City or Denver, right?
It's very true. And I grew up in western Nebraska, so it was Denver's or the Packers.
Right.
Or the Vikings, weirdly enough. It's like, I don't know how the Vikings get down this far.
I don't either.
I got a few friends. I always give them a hard time. They're like, hey, man, you'd be purple too if you've been choking for 50 years. So I'll give them that. Let them be sad in the corner. Now, Omaha, I jokingly tell people, and when I say Omaha, I generally include like La Vista, Ralston, Millard, all these different places, because unfortunately, like Denver, Omaha's grown to that point where everything kind of touches now.
Yes.
And so when I say Omaha, I do mean generally speaking, we're pretty spoiled. We have so much great entertainment. We have so many amazing restaurants to go try. What's your Mount Rushmore thus far or currently?
Yeah. I really love Tavern 180 for
Tavern
food.
180. I've never been there.
Oh my gosh.
What do I get when I go there?
Filet mignon.
Filet. Okay.
It's one of the best. It's crispy, but then it melts in your mouth.
Yeah, you can't.
And the flavor, they're great there. The service has been great, but it is one of my top 5, maybe even top 2.
Wow. Okay.
For food, entertainment. I want to. The new Smash Park by us.
Very cool place.
Pedigo Bikes.
Pedigo Bikes. I haven't heard
that.
That
is the first electric bike dealership in Omaha.
Very cool.
144th and F. And they sell electric bikes, of course, and then they also do tours around there. And they also do, I believe they have one downtown now, and they do tours around downtown.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice little clean way to go give tours out and about. That's very fun. I do love that. Now, Smash Park, I'm a big fan of as well. I've gotten to go out there a couple times since they've opened up. Very cool place.
Yeah.
I have reached out to them about being on the show. We'll see.
I think they will. Why not?
They had me send over some stats for them, so I'll take that as a good sign. I don't know, but hopefully we can get them on the show, because again, phenomenal place, and that whole area of La Vista is just booming right now.
It is booming. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff over there now.
Lots of new. I know Chard just opened up a new location out there. I think they finished up a cookie store out there, or something. It was like the cookie
Dirty Dough.
Dirty Dough. That's what it is.
Yeah, Dirty Dough, Jersey Mike's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming alive out there, and I'm excited for it. Now, before we wrap everything up, one more time for the listeners, how can we find you? What's the best way to reach out?
All right, flowdistrict.com or 531-215-1567.
You gotta love it. It's clean, it's simple, and it's to the point. Enjoy some relaxation and resets for your body and your mind with Float District. Of course, we have had the distinct pleasure to sit down with Josh Jowers, Director of Operations for Float District and owner of Intuitive Massage and Natural Nutrition. Josh, I want to thank you one more time here before we go for coming on to the program today.
Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. And of course, thank you to all the listeners out there. We'll have more next time here on the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast.